Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Cycle Lab Coffee Time episode. It's been a great week, and we once again live from Cycle Lab in Four Ways in the Performance Lab, and we got two special guests here today. They are our local professional cyclists, well, two of them that make up the full peloton week in, week out. Hopefully, we can all get back to racing very soon. Guys, welcome. We have Travis Barrett and we have Dylan Girdlestone there in the other corner. Welcome, welcome.
Sure, thanks, Miles.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Miles.
Thanks for also giving us some prizes to be able to give away today. We have a Biogen hamper worth about 1,200 Rand, which we will be giving away. To enter into that competition, stay tuned until the end of the show. We also, what else do we have? We got the Biogen hamper and there were two prizes.
And a Shesha Fuels cap
and a
mug.
Shesha Fuels cap and mug. So let's get into it, guys. Shesha Fuels. What is Shesha Fuels? Sorry, that's a bit of a tongue twist there. Tell us all about it.
So Shesha Fuel is a diesel wholesaler in South Africa,
Okay.
One of the leaders. And good mates with our team owner Jamie, went into partnership and basically painted our house red. You could say it like that. It's the same management, same old house, just with a new coat of paint, as Jamie would put it.
Office Guru used to be your team name, one of the most successful teams on the local cycling circuit
Yeah,
up until the start of this year.
yeah. So obviously, Office Guru is Jamie's company and still a big part of the team. Still a sponsor of the team, and we still fly the flag high for Office Guru.
Brilliant. We do have a Bianchi in the background because that's the bike that you guys are currently riding. Bianchi XR4 you guys are riding?
Yeah, so this year we're on XR4's Miles, and last year we rode the XR3, like the one behind us over here. That's the bike that won the Cape Town Cycle Tour with this man over here.
Onto that topic.
Sure you are, yeah.
You're going to speak about it
Plenty
now.
of questions. How?
I've actually got a picture I'm going to bring up here.
How a 19-year-old wins the Cape
There
Town
you go.
Cycle
So
Tour.
everyone, this is Travis Barrett. He's actually sitting right next to me. He won the Cape Town Cycle Tour last year, so he's the 2020 Cape Town Cycle Tour champion. Travis, you've probably spoken about this many times, but can you take us again through that experience and just what it meant for you? I mean, you were 19 years old at the time. We're still debating whether you were the youngest ever winner. I think you've concluded that.
Yeah.
I think you are the youngest winner.
Is it?
Yeah, so we did a little bit of research and did some digging, and it turns out that I was 20 when I won the event, not
Okay.
19, but yeah, pretty much the same thing. And back in I think it was the 80s, there was one rider who was 6 months younger than me, who had the quickest time overall for the event. But
Okay.
he started in B batch and finished in A batch in the open seeded category. So I'm the youngest official winner of the event. But back in the day, there was one guy who was quicker than everyone else.
So you're claiming it.
So, yeah, I'm claiming it.
Yeah.
No one's taking that away from me.
And the experience, the teamwork, obviously road cycling is not an individual sport. It comes down to a team effort. Take us through that last 1.5 kilometers where people are barging each other and shoulders are being kind of pushed out. Was there like an important kind of grounding kind of moment that kind of decided your win?
A big turning point was I was sitting sort of in the middle or towards the back of the select group that was going to the finish line, and it was about 1.5 k's to go, and this man over here actually came to fetch me and dragged me all the way to the front of the bunch and dropped me off behind one of our other teammates, Alex Worsdale. Dill went on then, I think someone had just attacked on the left hand side and he closed that move and sort of just followed through and carried on with his lead out. And the day before we rode the finish, and I still just said to you guys, if for some reason we're sprinting, whoever is my last lead out man, just as soon as we get to these barriers, you start sprinting and leading me out, and that turned out to be Alex. And I mean, we communicated so well in the last few hundred meters. He still looked back at me and asked me, okay, should I start going? And I was like, yeah, go for it. Like, at that point, I still didn't expect to win the race, but yeah, everything just played out perfectly and started
Amazing.
sprinting at the right time.
Amazing. Well done. So enough of pondering on the past. 2021 has arrived. You guys have started your preparation. You've recently been on a training camp to prepare for the 2021 season. A bit disappointing with the 2021 Cape Town Cycle Tour now being postponed. How does that affect your mental preparation, your motivation in terms of riding and cycling?
Well,
And
at the moment, I'm just defending champ for a little bit longer. So,
well, that's a good way to look at it.
One way to look at it. Yeah, the event hasn't been cancelled, only postponed, so I'm still keeping that in the back of my mind. Hopefully it does happen towards the end of the year. In terms of the other racing, it has been a little bit, I could say, disappointing that events aren't going ahead as planned. I mean, we train so hard and we train to race. So when there's no racing, it makes it a little bit difficult to carry on training when you sort of don't have immediate goals to chase. But things are starting to look up. Hopefully Nationals does take place now when it's supposed to. So
National champs being at the end of
March. Yeah,
end of
I think it's the 18th to the 21st of March in Swindon.
So you guys are training obviously for that. I'm going to bring up some pictures of your recent training camp so everyone can have a look. So there you guys are. There's a total of 6 riders on the team from what I can see there. From left to right. So I mean you guys can see the picture and so can our viewers out there. Can you take us through the team name by name on the far left?
So on the far left, that's Ryan Terry. Next to him is Dylan Girdlestone, who we have here. And then just next to him is the second Travis in our team, Travis Steadman. He's just come through the junior ranks, so this is his first year under 23. Very, very strong.
Very impressive rider. He actually showed us the ropes at our own training camp.
Yeah, wow. He surprised all of us.
Put us all on the back foot along the climb.
So we put in a good December training there down in KZN. I actually know him quite well. Lives down in KZN and obviously putting in the effort to try and prove a point.
Yeah, definitely. Came in guns blazing and he's got a very bright future ahead of him.
Then that's obviously you there, standing behind the back wheel. And then we got that strong man there.
That's JP Lloyd.
JP Lloyd.
And
then
next to him is Alex.
Brilliant.
Alex Borstel.
Awesome. So that was your training camp. We always call it a training camp, but at the end of the day, everyone ends up trying to prove a point. So you say Travis Steadman was the one that came out on top there. He won the training camp.
Yeah. On one of the days, we actually, just to keep things interesting, we sort of set up KOMs throughout where we were riding and just had little races throughout the training camp just to keep things interesting and get the feeling of racing back in, and he ended up winning some of those.
Brilliant.
Yeah, very impressive.
So I mean, the whole core structure of your team is about developing cycling. It's youngsters. It's focused on the under 23 age group, except for Dylan. I know you wish you were under 23. 24 years old. Dill, you're obviously one of the older riders in the team when compared to these young guns. You have a massive background, a massive wealth of experience in cycling. You're the team captain. What's it like looking after these children?
Look, from back when I started racing, things have changed quite a lot. When I started racing at their age, the bunch was predominantly 30-year-old guys, basically showing the youngsters how it's done. Nowadays it's completely changed. I mean, it's changed on the internationals front as well. I mean, looking at guys like Matthew van der Poel, the unbelievable power and talent that the new riders have. It's the same in South Africa. Our bunch is really, really young. I think I can count on one hand the pros that are over 30 still in this country.
I mean, if you look about it as well, I mean, the winner of the Tour de France,
exactly.
I mean, he was only 21 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's just one way of looking at it. So I can definitely relate to when you say, you know, the youngsters are coming through a lot earlier and kind of have this fearless mind of I'm going to prove a point.
Yeah, there's no fear in the youngsters nowadays. Where in the past it used to be the old guys saying, "Hey, you keep quiet and you do what I tell you." I feel like sometimes the roles are reversed in my team.
You obviously have a wealth of experience. You've done some big races on the international circuit. Can you just take us through that so that we can give you some credibility?
So yeah, I mean, everyone starts at the same place, starting at your under 16 and junior ranks, just racing local. Then you prove yourself in the local front, and then you venture out to try and get overseas. There's various stepping stones to take when trying to make it as a pro. You can either go direct, straight to level 1 to Europe, or you can go via Australia, via Asia if you want to go the really long way around. And the other short way is going through America. When I say going through these footsteps, I mean basically go there, race for 3 months as long as your visa can hold you, and just get results. It comes down to results at the end of the day. If you want to fast track your way to a pro team, it's results. It's difficult to get results when you don't have experience, so it's kind of like a balancing act of being able to actually get the results and work for the team and not get kicked off the team because you're riding for yourself, which happens often. So if you do go for your own results, you've got to damn make sure that you get them. And seconds and thirds don't really count in cycling. Wins count. A win is everything.
I was about to ask you there, because you say results count. Doesn't that come down to being sometimes very selfish, and then that's the total opposite of it being a team sport? It's like, so it's kind of like a catch-22, because I know Mark Pritson, who won the 947, is it the cycle tour?
Cycle challenge, I think, yeah.
Cycle challenge, that's the right one. I mean, he's gone on to ride for Team NTT's Continental team, but I mean, if the second place rider was your team as well, so it was...
That was me, and I'm still here. Damn.
Well, there you go. So sometimes, like you say, it's results, but sometimes you also got to be a bit selfish. So it's kind of like a catch-22 and kind of being there for each other. Just a quick reminder, everyone, it is a live Q&A, so if you do have any questions for these local professionals, let us know in terms of nutrition, their training, what kind of phase of their training they're in at the moment. Obviously, they started their base training. I mean, you guys can take us through it as well, how you kind of start your training. Yeah, it's a live Q&A, so if there's any questions out there, please let us know, and these guys can answer. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, no worries.
But your biggest race you've ever done in terms of a professional cyclist, what would you say it is?
Probably tours-wise would be Tour of Britain.
Wow.
10 days. It's a really hard tour. I mean, all the Tour de France participants race in that race, and that year Wiggins raced with us. And I was stagiating on the Garmin Sharp Pro Tour team, and we actually had Dylan van Baal win the Tour of Britain for us.
Wow.
So I was doing the groundwork there. I was skivvy, so fetching bottles, sitting on the front. I think when you get to that sort of point so quickly, there you do have to be the team player, because I felt like I was way out of my depth. I was like, oh, weird, like all these superstars around me.
Yeah.
So I was happy just to do anything for them. Yeah, that was probably the biggest tour, and probably one day would probably be also with I think Garmin Sharp would have been Paris Tours, one of the last classics on the calendar.
Wow.
A really long 230k race in pouring rain.
Because we had Ryan Gibbons, our South African national champion. We had him in studio towards the end of last year, and he was speaking about all these races, and so it was like quite wow to actually hear all the races done. And I mean, you've achieved something similar. So you've got all those experience, the memories, and you're doing very well to relay that knowledge down onto the youngsters. It would actually be nice to have Jamie here, because we could actually ask him, what does it take for a youngster to get into your team? I mean, do you guys know, like Trav, what did you do to kind of get noticed to get into this team?
So I started with Office Guru. I was first year junior. It's sort of when Jamie started with this whole project. A while ago, there was still the Europcar Academy with juniors and under 16s, and I rode for them. And I remember getting asked to send through like a little CV to this guy, Jamie Taylor, who I had no idea who he was. We just knew that he was maybe selecting a junior team. So yeah, that's sort of what I did. I sent through my CV, and yeah, I managed to make the cut. And I've pretty much been with Office Guru ever since then, through thick and thin. And yeah, I think it's, again, like Dol was saying, you can send through your CVs and things like that, but at the end of the day, a lot of it's results based. So you have to make sure you have good results. But again, with Office Guru, kind of our ethos is, we can...
Shesha,
sorry,
yeah.
Mistake. Still, yeah, early in the year.
Same, but different.
You can always better a rider and improve a rider, but as long as you're a cool person off the bike, then think we're happy to have you, and I think that's really what makes a difference in our team. We get along as mates off the bike before anything, and that really helps us race together as a unit.
Die together. Bad
Yeah.
boys for life.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, racing locally, doing SA Champs, doing the Argus, doing the 947. What's next? I mean, yeah, fast one. How many of those are you going to do before you progress, and how does someone progress? I mean, the ultimate goal eventually is obviously to be someone like Ryan Gibbons, who we have just mentioned, we had in studio, riding the Tour de France, doing Paris Tours, doing all those races you just mentioned. Is there like a next step for you guys? I know you're young and you're trying to make it to the next level. Is there a plan? Is there I mean, I don't know, so just asking.
Well, everything's up in the air at the moment with obviously the pandemic happening.
Yeah.
I think it's stunted the team's growth and everyone's growth in that matter.
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, last year I think we did like 3 or 4 races the entire year.
Yeah.
And this year we yet to race, and we should have raced already 2 races and SA National Champs by now, which has all been postponed. So it's very difficult to say what the future holds right now. Obviously we have a plan. The plan is to obviously use the stepping stones, possibly go to Europe. I know that is in the pipeline for these guys, to actually go and race in Spain or France, go stay there for a few months, do the club level races. I mean, they're the hardest races. In my career, the hardest races I ever did were the French club races. It was the most insane racing. So they would be subject to that sort of racing as well. And if you can make it through that, then get results and then get noticed by the bigger teams. And obviously Jamie's got some pull, he knows guys who know guys, and it always helps to know people as well. That's something else I forgot to mention.
It's
So
who
you
you
don't
know,
want to
not,
be a recluse
Yeah.
in,
Not what you
in
know.
cycling.
so it's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Training wise, what phase of training? I mean, if you can explain training, it obviously works base training to a peak. It's obviously very difficult now with not knowing what races are coming up other than national champs at the end of kind of March. But what kind of training are you guys doing, and how does all of this over here, these Biogen products, affect your recovery, what you're using during training? Maybe if you can give a rundown on that, because that's quite important for people who are watching. They don't know. So what do you take when and how? I mean,
So
it
basically,
obviously
I mean,
starts with the coffee.
The easy way to put training is basically a base phase, which is 6 to 9 weeks, depending on how much time you have. Then going into a build phase, then going into peak phase. So usually you do base through December into January for the South African racing calendar, obviously.
Sorry,
build.
that was one of our questions actually. So one of the questions from Kirsty was, what's your diet on a day-to-day basis, and how much does that change in the off-season?
I'm definitely not answering that. You can answer that first.
do you stick to...
No, I won't say I stick to a very strict diet.
and you can be honest, you can say
yeah,
wine,
no.
beer, chocolates.
No,
No, your coach is watching,
don't.
don't.
No, it's cool. He knows, he understands. Yeah, it's really, I don't follow a very strict diet. Definitely in the off season, you kind of let loose and eat a little bit more junk food and drink a little bit more alcohol and things like that. But yeah, just generally the closer I get to racing and the more training I start getting through, obviously your nutrition is extremely important for your recovery. So
Sure.
I just try and eat healthy and eat when you're hungry, not yeah.
And I mean, in terms of recovery, Biogen make a Recover-Gin, I think it's called Recover-Gin.
Yes,
is that right?
Recover-Gin is a recovery.
Does that kind of incorporate into your recovery? Is it something that you take straight after your ride? How long after your ride do you need to take it?
Definitely, yeah. So with me, I take my Recover-Gin after any training session that I do, except for their gym work. With that, I take Biogen's Iso Whey, which is more of just a whey protein, not so much carbs in there.
And you don't mix it with the chamois cream, eh?
No,
Okay.
definitely not.
No, that goes in the coffee.
Yeah, that's the coffee cream that I do.
Okay, so the diets do change, and also obviously depending on
Yeah.
weight loss, weight gain, you want to keep lean for the climbs or bulk up for the sprints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most important is just to, I'm still young. I think for South African racing especially, you don't have to follow any strict diets. Just try and be healthy and Yeah.
So you're not vegan yet?
No.
Oh, not.
I tried that for a day. I watched the Game Changers documentary. I think I was vegan for about 2 or 3 days, and then I
Is it?
called quits. Just
Then Jamie invited you for a bra.
yeah. One of our team's aliases is actually the bra pack. So we were. It's
And
actually
then-
not allowed in our
And
team.
then there's another question from Malin Nadia. Sorry, I probably might have got your name wrong. How many hours of training do you guys do per week? So that's back onto the training programs and training schedules
I
and
think Dill's probably on about 3.5.
Cool. 3.5 hours per week.
That's being generous. And then with me, generally, it comes back to the different phases that Dylan was explaining. During the base season, you can sometimes get up to, the 20 hours a week mark.
Okay.
But the closer I get to racing, the time of training generally decreases a little bit, but the intensity increases.
Okay.
So at the moment, I'd say the last few weeks, I've been averaging anywhere between 15 to 18 hours a week. But I think generally around the 16, 17 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
sort
it's
the
kind of
general-
high intensity. There you guys going up the one mountain there. Where do you guys have your training camp? That was in Clarence, right?
Yeah, this was in Clarence.
So this is going up the first climb in the Golden Gate Reserve. As you can see, I think that was Stedman in front.
So that was Travis showing you who's boss on your training camp.
So basically, Jamie put money at the top of each of these climbs. So we were actually racing for real money, for real
Oh,
cash.
wow.
Yeah.
More than
Jeez.
some of the races we did.
More prize money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was actually Ryan Terry going off early.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was
that was-
Ryan.
Ryan learned a lesson about racing in our training camp as well. To not go early. Wait. And that's what Stedman actually did, the youngest rider on the team. He waited. It's all about timing in cycling.
100%. So he
Getting
took all
the
the money
timing
home.
right, watch everyone else race, and then hit it at the last minute.
Okay, so back onto the training. You do your base training, lots of hours, low intensity, building up to a peak, which would now be you training for national champs. There's obviously the road race and the time trial. You guys are both doing both, or
Yeah, I'll be
both
doing
on
both.
the time trial, both on the road race.
Yeah, I'll just be focusing on the road race. But yeah, it's on the 20th of
18th to the 21st of
Yeah.
March.
Yeah, so we've got basically 6 weeks if it does happen. So that's the only race in sights at the moment. So I think everyone's just going to be training for that. SA is always just a long, hard, grueling race. So
Survival race. And then there's
Yeah.
guys, if you win SA championships, you get the cool South African flag on your chest, and you get to represent that the whole year. It'll be interesting to see if there's any of the international riders like Daryl Impey, Ryan Gibbons, Stefan de Bot, if they actually come because of this whole COVID phase. Might leave it very open-ended for the boys here.
yeah,
Yeah.
so some of the guys on the European calendar have actually come back. I know of Reinhard Jans Frensburg from Quebec Assos. He's actually just come back from the training camp that they just done. And he normally stays over in Spain during this time because racing starts relatively soon from now. But yeah, he's actually come back, so I don't know what's happening with their calendars, but maybe Reinhard will be at the SA Champs. He's also a previous SA Champ himself.
But he will be man alone, so if you guys group together, you could stick it to the international guys.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, on to the competition. There's this Biogen hamper up for grabs and a cap and a pretty cool cup. Apparently, this cup changes color when you put hot coffee into it. I don't know what happens to it. Maybe there's a cool logo that comes out of the cup. We never know.
You have to win it to find out.
Yeah, you'll have to win it to find out. Or you could buy it. Can you buy these cups anyway? Jamie?
No, I don't think, yeah.
It's so
These are
special. It's a really special
Special
prize.
limited edition
Yeah.
Shesha Fields Racing team cups here.
There we go.
Obviously, the Biogen you can buy in any Cycle Lab store.
There we go.
countrywide.
Thanks, Dill. You can see you wearing the cap as well, representing. So to enter the competition, we're going to do something very different this week. It's only going to be, because your team's all about development and cyclists coming through the ranks, this competition is going to be open to any cyclist or rider 18 years or below. So junior, under 16, under 13, under 12. And to enter the competition, all you need to do is, while you're out on your ride, take a photo of your bike or the scenery or whatever you're doing out on your bike, mountain bike, road bike, and tag in your post Shesha Fuels Racing and Cycle Lab as well. And then we'll obviously do a draw, and you could win either the Biogen hamper or the cap and the mug, and you can post that on Instagram. Instagram, please, guys. Facebook gets a little bit difficult to manage, so if you can do those posts on Instagram, tag Shesha Fields Racing and CycleLab, then CycleLab ZA, that's the account. That would be amazing. Thank you, everyone, and thank you guys for coming onto the show. It's great to have you. It's great to showcase some of the local talent we do have. I know everyone watches the Tour de France, and don't they kind of forget about what's happening on the ground? Yeah.
This is where it all starts at the end of the day.
This is where it all starts. So, Cape Town Cycle Tour champion might be riding the Tour de France one day, and he was right here, you know. So, you should get his autograph now. So, guys, thank you for coming through. Thank you to the viewers for watching, and we're going to be back here next week, same time, same place. And we do have more exciting guests coming on. We're going to be speaking to the guys from SRAM about Rock Shock, and we're going to be running a few competitions with them as well. So next week, same time, same place, 8:30, Cycle Lab, Performance Lab, and on Facebook Live. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll chat soon.
Cool. Thanks
Cheers,
very much, guys. Cheers.